People who have signed NDAs that have now expired, or for whatever reason are no longer valid. What couldn't you tell us but now can? Sony got hacked over that North Korea movie because of a 5-year-old account they didn't delete or monitor from an ex-employee. My company forgot to remove my credentials to their investors website when I left. Only like 5 people in the company had access to the site because it had people names, addresses, SSNs, credit scores, etc. Over 400k people. Like 3 years later I was working for a competitor that had the same client. I accidentally logged in with my old company's credentials and they worked. Someone really dropped the ball there. Had to sign a NDA for a secure shipment that came into a building I ran security at. Shipment came in at 2 AM unmarked transit van. 2 guys had to verify their biometrics and give me the correct password. Then was required to deactivate the cameras on the floors along the travel routes they took inside the building and wipe the footage of them entering and leaving. Long play videotapes so easy to oops tape got chewed. They unpacked a set of vases and trundled off to put them in a private vault. Don't know what the duck was in them, but I've seen less security for pallets of precious metal bullion. Thanks for the silver anonymous dude. Also I'm glad people enjoyed my little work story. 15 years in the industry and this is one story that I'll always remember. I was a translator, contractor, for the US military. I also translated Marvel comic books. Marvel had tighter security. This does not surprise me. I've worked in aerospace on military contracts most of my professional career. The most restrictive NDA I've had to sign was for a candy bagging machine for a candy company. Corporate espionage tbh. In 1990, I signed an NDA at Chili's when they showed me how to make their new Awesome Blossom. No other restaurant in town had anything like it, and it was hugely popular at the time. Let me guess. You cut up, batter, and deep fry an onion? Mostly it was how they cut the onion to make it open up like it does. Yeah, these days it is really easy, but at the time it was like their trademark for a bit. Kraft macaroni and cheese are coming out with a more modern and upscale version to expand their market from lower income folks to higher income folks. It is almost entirely the same product as the 69-cent blue box, but will have a lighter, less orangey color. They will be sold as shells and not macaroni. The box will be shaped differently, and it will go for $2.50 or more. Stated to be released by 1995. Dell closed all of their in-person kiosk locations in order to get the money to fire the CEO they put in, because no one bothered vetting his contract, allowing him to adjust his own pay rate to whatever he wanted, and could only be fired with a $40 million golden parachute bonus. So their choice was to either come up with $40 million ASAP to fire him, or go completely bankrupt the very next pay period. So yeah, Dell was almost bankrupted within a single week due to a pirate CEO. That has to be an urban legend. There are laws specifically designed to protect against people sneaking wacky shit into contracts. I worked for a native casino. The golf courses lost a ton of money for us, as did the advertising for the courses. Food we generally broke even on because of all the carbs. If a crime was committed by a dealer, they would watch the dealer for 3 months to see if there were accomplices. They used facial recognition and would pair match you, so if the same person sat with the same dealer over and over, they would know. This way they could look for accomplices. Then when they busted you, they would sit you down and make you watch a video of you breaking the law. They did this because they wanted you to plead guilty as opposed to an expensive trial. Anyone in the golf industry could tell you the first part is absolutely true, even though the golf course increases the value of everything else nearby. Such a weird duality. I signed an NDA to waitress at a local family-owned restaurant. The owner was nuts, definitely had a severe personality disorder, and was worried about his recipes getting leaked. The restaurant is dead now, and his secret recipes consisted almost solely of frozen packaged food. Edit, guys. Stop trying to guess what restaurant it is. You never will. There are millions of family-owned places with crazy bosses that go under. You don't know the place, and I'm not gonna tell you. Also, Mr. Krabs pays his employees enough to own houses and pets. I wish I worked for him. Google doesn't hire direct support employees. They open small projects in the US, hire up to 250 contract employees of varying support positions for the project. Once they get the stats needed to run everything efficiently, they have mass layoffs and outsource their jobs to a country, Philippines/India, that's willing to accept much less than their US counterpart. At the same time, Google rakes in a huge tax cut because they're "creating jobs in the local communities." Edit. Yes, this includes YouTube and YouTube content review. Worked at a matchmaking company. It's all bullshit. It's just throwing darts at a wall until something sticks. There's no science or magic to it all. Edit. I didn't work for an internet matching company, so they may have a different process. What we did was get a paid client and set him up on dates. The dates we found were from a pool of women and we would just keep picking one after another. I quit because I felt like the women were just being used, and I became uncomfortable profiting off of people's hopes. They very much play up on finding you true love, and it's a process, blah blah. They'll very much play up the fairy tale romance. It did change me. I don't really date anymore, because I don't trust the true intentions of people anymore. I became very jaded to dating after all of that. I thought you meant a company that makes literal matches and was confused. Figured that recipe would have been locked down long ago. Edit. Thanks for the silver/gold. You could get free satellite TV without any hacking or hardware mods. Call up your Dish or DirecTV phone line. Add everything you want to get. Wait until it all appears on your account and you can watch it. Then, unplug all the hardware in your system and give them a call back, saying it wasn't you, or you changed your mind, or you only had it for visiting family, or whatever. Take it back down to the bare minimum or turn it off completely. Wait at least 24 hours, preferably a good 2 or 3 days. Then, plug your shit back in and continue to enjoy everything. This has been known to work for years for a lot of people. Satellite TV is one-way communication, so the only way they update your programming authorizations is to send a signal to your specific hardware. Sending satellite signals for single customers is expensive, so they don't keep doing it. When your system gets the update to turn on all the channels, it sticks until you make a change. All you have to do is skip that downgrade signal. There is going to be a Capri Sun sports flavor in roughly 2003. I was a taste tester for Kraft Foods when I was 10. We didn't sign an NDA, but it was supposed to be a secret. They expected you to share it with all your friends to generate grassroots hype. You failed them. A huge part of The Bachelorette was scripted. The company I worked for at the time was a major tourism service provider and featured prominently in one of the seasons. We were all pulled into meetings with the higher up managers, given a spiel about what was in our best interest, and spilling any secrets was punishable by a $5 million lawsuit. Please sign here. I gave zero ducks about the show at the time, still don't. Just wanted to do my job. The Bachelorette herself was clearly there to further her public profile or acting career. The scenes were always set up before filming. Behind the camera nothing was happening. The cast were told where to go, what to do, and how to do it. If half those guys weren't on their phones texting their real girlfriends most of the time, I would be surprised. So fake. So 100% fake. Edit. Well, this is getting a lot more attention than I thought it would. Here's a few tidbits. The NDA was only that we wouldn't spill secrets about the show before episodes involving our company aired. We were also not allowed to disparage the company, which honestly was easy to abide by, since we were treated well, and we had excellent managers. The Bachelorette has since gone on to a fairly successful TV career, hosting several shows. All of her official press credits The Bachelorette and her exposure during another elimination style reality TV show with launching her career. Posted this before. If it sounds familiar, not me, but a guy I know, was on Cash Cab. A lot of it was faked. He was told he would be on a travel food show and would get picked up by a fake taxi at a certain location at a certain time. There were camera crews all over outside the taxi, and there's no way on earth you might mistake it for a real cab. I always assumed that the contestants knew they were going to be on Cash Cab and their surprised reactions were all faked. If this is true, it's actually a pleasant surprise. Signed an NDA when I worked as a fit model for Katy Perry's shoe line. Basically, a fit model is used for their good proportions to test out the fit of garments. I'm a solid size 7.5, so hooray for being average. I was hired on 2 occasions and got to hang out and give her my opinion on the fit, feeling, and comfort of different shoes. Didn't think she'd actually be there, but both times she was present and totally running the show. Super nice woman in person and remembered me when we met again. Also, she apologized for making me wait so long, which I thought was nice. It was a late night meeting as she'd just wrapped shooting a music video. Her dog is really cute too, and I got to save it when it got stuck behind a wall panel. I hope this doesn't get buried, because after reading a lot of these, I feel like it's important. An NDA isn't enforceable if you had to sign it to keep your job. Basically, a contract has to benefit both parties. It's called consideration. Continued employment doesn't rise to that level. A raise would, but just saying sign this to keep your job wouldn't fly. So if you're ever in that situation at work, you should refuse. I mean, if the company wants you to sign an NDA, they probably won't fire you and incentivize you to run around telling everybody what they want to keep secret. You'd be in a position to negotiate, as you should. Contracts are supposed to be mutually beneficial. Also, no one can make you sign a contract. Ever. If you see something ducked up happen, and you want to tell people about it, there's nothing anyone can do to actually stop you if you don't sign an NDA, which you don't have to do. As long as they don't kill me. I was on a documentary show on a prestigious documentary network before they turned into reality trash. The camera crew staged shit. Managed to start fights among us. Filmed it all. And the stuff that they said would never be aired, that they were filming to track various metrics of health. Yeah. Ed. With commentary. I got called terrible things when the show aired. Got death threats. And according to the very broad terms of the NDA, I could defend myself online. It was such bullshit. Had to sign one for a court show I went on. The people who approached me and worked with me for the show were sweet and supportive, deceptively, I think now. The judge was an asshole who ignored my evidence and called me names on TV. It was honestly a traumatic experience. And I got threats and insults too. Those shithouse should be banged. Had to sign one for a court show I went on. The people who approached me and worked with me for the show were sweet and supportive, deceptively, I think now. The judge was an asshole who ignored my evidence and called me names on TV. It was honestly a traumatic experience. And I got threats and insults too. Those shithouse should be banned. When I was in high school, this kid kept bragging about joining the Russian mob. He was kind of a shithead. Sold drugs. And way more than just pot. No one really believed him. And then one day he disappeared off the face of the earth. This was a while ago. I'm in my 30s now. So no Facebook, no proliferation of cell phones. One day he was just gone from our lives. Well, turned out somewhere up the chain of drug dealer scum this kid really did have connections to the Russian mob. They offered to let him in. Told him he'd make tons of money. People would respect and fear him. Girls would suck his D 24/7. Whatever he wanted. All they wanted from him was to show his loyalty by doing a hit. Mother Ducker was 17. He killed some rival drug dealer or something stupid like that. The Russians set him up and let him take the fall. This was over 20 years ago. He's still in prison. He will never leave. And that was just one ducking day in the lives of the people that Dumbus looked up to. I didn't breach an NDA, but I think 20 years later the Russian mob probably isn't going to kill me for talking on Reddit. So it kinda fits. I was a model for a few big name / well-known makeup companies. I did several print ads for magazines and a few television commercials. The makeup artists use the product advertised, but minimally. Like that mascara they're touting? It's over really good fake eyelashes, and they also used another brand of mascara along with the one they're trying to sell you. Also, the clothes in the ads you see are pinned to high heaven on the model. They fit nothing like they look. It's not you. It's not your body. It's fake advertising. Most of us models look just like you wearing that crap without all the pins and tucks and double-sided tape. Thank you for this. Every time I've seen an ad for shitty mascara I've used before and thought, there's no way they're using that mascara in this ducking ad, have been vindicated. Cosmetic commercials piss me off more than any other kind. Yeah, I'm sure Jennifer Aniston keeps her youthful glow by slathering on $7 bottles of Aveeno from Walmart. Right. Worked for a short time as a cat tester at EA and wasn't allowed to talk about the game I was testing, the console port for The Sims 4. There wasn't really much to talk about, but since the first few versions were basically just running the PC version on a console, there were a lot of bugs with it. One of the worst was a lighting bug we started referring to as disco mode, since it caused a bunch of multicolored squares to show up on everything at night or in dark areas. House Hunters guest checking in. I never made the show because I didn't close on the house 1. I had to have a house under contract before going on the show 2. They would select the other houses we were interested in. 3. I was assigned another so who was more interesting than my actual so. My dad did some top secret contract work for the DOD back in the 1960s, and he signed a lifelong NDA as part of that job. He's dead now, so I guess it's safe to talk about it. The thing is, he never did break the NDA in any context. The strange part was that the NDA specifically prohibited him from using certain words ever again. The trouble is, some of the words are common vocabulary, and it became obvious over the years which words he did not use. Words I know he could not say because he would find other ways of saying them instead included ball, balloon, briefcase, bomb, and nuclear. It would have made more sense for him to just say there's a balloon instead of there's an inflatable latex object, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Eventually he did gradually stop avoiding those words for the most part, although he would not discuss the NDA. D&D 5e had a kick-ass online character builder that made character creation a breeze. It listed all of the possible skills etc per race and class that was intuitive, and made theory crafting for characters easy. Personal conjecture, they canned it because it took away from the pen and paper aspect of the game, and they were afraid with an online tool it'd take away from book sales. I'm not really sure if what I saw was declassified or expired, so I can't give specifics. I participated in arming and training some militia groups in Iraq to fight ISIS that had highly questionable motives and very little vetting done on them. I'm pretty sure that if we didn't need the cannon fodder for the siege of Mosul, that we would probably be bombing and drone striking some of the groups that we were busy passing out guns to. Also, I once had an IED dog alert on a truck that had a highly concerning amount of brain matter in / on it. I mean, yeah, any amount would be suspect, but there was like 5 or 6 people's worth of brains there. I've seen head pops and know how much brains get around, and there was a lot more than that present. We had dragged him from the vehicle and were preparing to conduct a more thorough search. We were ordered via radio to stand down and let the guy, who was eerily cheerful about driving a truck plastered from bed to hood in human brain matter, continue on his way. He gave me a pack of smokes, smiled and said he took no offense to our search and understood how troubling the situation must appear, that he felt that we were welcome guests in his country and that he hoped we had a nice day, then drove off. No ducking clue WTF that was about. A certain global conferencing company still saves passwords for their web products in plain text. Any, and I mean any, employee that works there can see the password. My password there was not my pass, you idiot, because I know other people would see it eventually and they'd even comment/laugh about it. Also, we once discovered that our main conferencing software was letting you sign in regardless of the password you entered. Meaning you could sign in with any email address. Once we brought it up, we first were immediately stonewalled and told not to say anything about it in written format. TLDR, they had the dev team and legal on a conference call and they decided it was best to just keep it quiet until they fixed it later that day. No client was to be notified of the issue. And the ones that knew of it were basically given a runaround until they gave up. They also added call spoofing to the software. They called it something fancier, but it was call spoofing. You could make a call and make it appear from any number you wanted. My team raised this concern many times, but were countered with no one will actually use it for that. That place was a gold mine of security risks. When I was a kid, I visited the dentist for a cavity. While there, the dentist slipped while drilling my tooth and drilled a hole under my tongue. My mom saw me tense up, and my dentist said, "Oh, nicked her there a bit, so you might see a little blood." I got home, and after an hour, my entire neck was swollen up like a frog and my voice was squeaky because of the air pressure. A pocket of air was pressing against my heart, dirty air, at that, because of the bacteria in my mouth. I was admitted to the hospital as a code 4, with a code 5 being dead. When my mom tried to sue the dentist for damages, he claimed I was kicking and screaming and out of control during the act, even getting his secretary to vouch for him and testify. Total BS. I liked the dentist, and I was a people pleaser. Also, laughing gas. My mom's lawyer was super pessimistic and told her just to settle and sign an NDA because she had a small chance of winning. So my mom settled, being naive and scared to take on an office full of liars. She could never disclose who the dentist was, and we've heard other horror stories throughout the years about this dentist effing up other people's apostrophe mouths. It sucks because every lawyer we've talked to after the fact says we had a very strong case and it's likely we would have won. Like really won. My old company I sold mattresses for are still the most overpriced places ever and heavily rely on having their own exclusive beds, so they can't price match. I've sold one for nearly half price and still made decent commission. Also, the exclusive beds they sell are exactly the same as the ones in other places, but maybe just rearrange the foam cushions or just got them in different colors and that's it, but they'll be priced an extra few $100. We were told that Tempur-Pedic messed up and that's why they dropped them as a vendor, when in all reality, the company made demands and Tempur refused to screw over their other customers and dropped the contract. We sold clearance beds. We had to say they were overstocks, floor models that never made it to the floors, rejected deliveries, etc. Truth is, sure, a handful were floor models, but 95% of them were returns that people slept on for a minimum of 30 days. And no, they were never cleaned. Just sprayed with what's essentially an industrial version of a knockoff Lysol with reduced scent, so it's not obvious. IDK how they haven't gotten caught by the health department yet. And finally, if you go to a mattress place for a new bed, don't go for anything priced less than $1K. They're shit. Instead, find a $1,200 one and haggle them down to about $7-800. You're welcome. Dolly Parton's music manager is a pose who sleeps with mentally ill girls while promising them a music career, and if they are not down to F***K he rapes them. Edit, I did what I could before I got out of the industry. This is a throwaway because I'm scared of him. Also, I'm pretty sure Dolly does not know what a gross human he is. Trump stole most of his ideas for Trump University from a get-rich-quick cult in Utah. I worked for a seminar company that would assemble a collection of money-making schemes into one long day of presentations. Think Tony Robbins, but more boring. We'd pay Trump, or one of his kids, a shit ton of money to make a 30-minute appearance in the middle of the day, and we'd hand out free paperback copies of one of his books. We made $200 million in 2006, then some mysterious person turned all our vendors against us, and the company went out of business. Later on that year, Trump decided to run with the idea himself. He made a lot of money. The owner was an eccentric, likely sociopath who joined the Mormon church along with his extended family and convinced a lot of otherwise decent people to get in on it. At its heyday, he had a Bentley and a full-time driver for said Bentley. A few years after it went south, he died under questionable circumstances in Florida. Not saying Trump was involved with that, but the whole thing was batshit crazy. Everyone involved has wiped the experience off their LinkedIn profiles. The domain name was scooped up by a notorious cybersplitter who now claims to have been CEO of the company. One of my friend's brothers was on the MTV showroom Raiders. Everything in the show is staged. All of the items that they would find were planted. At the end of the show, the prize was not a date with the girl that he picked, he just got her phone number.